I need you to brace yourselves because I have some alarming news. I don't know. I don't know how much you know about Steven Crowder. That's that sweet Canadian lad. That that gentle giant. But it turns out, like Cosby before him, he's a bit of a sex pest. I know, shocking. Shocking that Steven Crowder, whose only sins consist of being pro genocide and abusing his wife, who was pregnant at the time, a sweet fellow like that would turn out to be a sex pest. But yes, indeed he is. Turns out that he has a habit of sending pictures of his schwanz to his employees. Now, you might be wondering, did this happen before or after Sam Cedar put him in the hospital because he scared him so bad when he showed up on Louder with Crowder for a surprise debate, and that indeed Cedar did put him in the hospital, but it was both. He apparently does this habitually. This is a regular thing. Let's have a look at Mediaite reporting on it. Exclusive. Steven Crowder sent photos of his schwanz and exchanged drugs in super creepy workplace. Ex-staffers say. Already I have questions. Ex-staffers. Which ones? I doubt we'll know. Because they don't, conservatives in the U.S. are a bunch of terrorists, and they don't want to have terrorists after him. But anyway, let's read the article. Steven Crowder has been a lightning rod for controversy since he launched his online show, Louder with Crowder. But behind the scenes, his bombastic behavior has taken center stage, with allegations of abusive behavior towards his estranged wife, Hillary, as well as claims of toxic workplace conduct by former employees. Now, the fallout from there goes. See what I'm talking about with the long podcast? It shreds the voice. Now, the fallout from the contentious divorce, as well as Crowder's alleged workplace misconduct, threatens to derail the enormously popular What the Hell's the Matter with You, America? Popular show that once landed its right-wing star with a $50 million offer from the Daily Wire, which he scorned. He made a big deal about how it wasn't enough. That's just a fun fact. He's a greedy little see you next Tuesday. I gotta tell you, my hope is that Crowder cannot exist after he loses the fame. I'm quite sure that there is not going to be a Steven Crowder anything in 15 years. This is not, in my opinion, going to be like Rush Limbaugh, where it just goes on and on and on until cancer does us all a favor. I am fully of the belief that not that America is going to suddenly all wake up, but that it's just going to become embarrassing to be seen watching this stuff. And I think the fact that people start getting quieter about Crowder, and the fact that in order to preach this kind of evil, you have to be an evil person, and we live in an age where it's hard to keep secrets, case in point, or I should say case in point, I think it's going to go away. And when that happens, I hope that Steven Crowder can't handle it. Mediaite spoke with the 5 former show staffers and one source close to Crowder under the condition of anonymity due to fear of retaliation. Again, because conservatives are a bunch of terrorist scum who described a workplace rife with bullying, alarming and unpredictable behavior, as well as lewd and sexual workplace misconduct earlier this month. After repeated suspensions, Louder with Crowder decamped from YouTube, where it commanded a mighty audience of 5.8 million subscribers, to Rumble, a less regulated but much smaller alternative. Good little stick there. The show's audience has dwindled on Rumble. Ooh. To the point where his last 5 shows have averaged some 288,000 viewers. That's dwindled, huh? Far cry from the millions Crowder once saw per episode. Good. At least it's trending in the right direction. The show's viewership troubles follow years of alleged misconduct behind the scenes. Come on, now that's what I want to get to. One former Louder with Crowder employee told media, I just realized I'm making fun of them for doing the same intro thoughts that I had, which is that hopefully this stuff is getting less popular. Anyway, one former Louder with Crowder employee told Mediaite that during his time on the show, he received unsolicited, sexually graphic texts that included photos of Crowder's genitalia. Those texts and images were reviewed by Mediaite. In the moment, we dismissed it as sort of frat boy humor. In hindsight, it's super creepy and felt groomer-ish, the ex-employee said. Okay. We overuse the word groomer, and I was about to criticize them for that, but that might actually work here. It's not like you can only groom children. It's grooming, my understanding, is like over time prepping somebody for sexual abuse. It does seem like that's what they're saying Crowder was doing. So, all right, I withdraw the complaint that was on the tip of my tongue. But man, it's just now dawning on me that was it a male? Am I right about that? The show's viewership trouble. One former told me during his time on the show, he received unsolicited sexually graphic texts that included photos of Crowder's genitalia. I don't like bringing this up every time, but it's always a part of this. Why is it all these so many of these anti-gay folks wind up having at least gay tendencies? Is it? I mean, y'all know my theory. I do think for a lot of these folks, ranting about how much they hate the gays is a way for them to get to think about the gays and not feel bad. I do truly believe that a lot of these fellas, who it seems to me like desperately don't want to be gay, I don't think it's purely a grift. I think they truly don't want to be gay. I think they would be less gay if they would just go have some gay sex. Get it out of your system. It's fine. You and a buddy have a handshake and a couple of beers out in the woods. Just get it out of your system, Steven Crowder. You'll feel so much better. Find a buddy who can keep a secret. And just go have a roll in the hay. It's fine. Nobody who matters cares. You know, people like you care, but you don't matter aside from what harm you can do. No one serious, no one of value on earth cares if at one time in your life you had some gay sex. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's forgettable. It's totally forgettable. Have you ever had a girlfriend ask if she can choke you during the act? Did you have to scan through your head to see if you've ever had choke sex before? It's like that. Most mature-ass adults, most people who have even the lightest education, understand that it simply is irrelevant. And the only reason homosexuality is such a big part of politics is because of scum like you making it a big deal, Steven Crowder. You want to live a hell of a lot happier. And look, obviously, I know how popular WYCD is. I know. It's basically watched by every man, woman, and child on earth. And we'll figure out how to fix the way that that's measured, because clearly that's off. But so Steven Crowder, I assume you're listening. Look, man, you've just demonstrated that money ain't enough to get you to commit to the next however many years of your life. What was it, 50 million that you turned down from Ben Shapiro? Money ain't everything. You've demonstrated. You've demonstrated that you don't care only about viewership numbers, because you made the conscious decision to go from YouTube to Rumble, which had a smaller audience. And look, you've got a smaller audience, but you're still trucking. So if you're willing to lose a little bit of money, and you're willing to lose a little bit of viewership from the absolute worst scum in your audience, who, by the way, is also costing you money in the long run because you cannot please them and normal human beings, Steven Crowder, I would recommend to you that you get this out of your system. Go have some gay sex. If it leaks that you did, do what you always do and just lie. No one will care. But for God's sake, stop obsessing over this. Stop bothering people with pictures of your genitals. Stop looking for affirmations from the rest of your employees that these thoughts are somehow both normal and not a little gay. They're somehow normal and perfectly straight, thinking about sucking this or touching that or whatever. All right, let's just find out the full gamut of the way Steven Crowder forced his employees to deal with his unresolved feelings. In addition to receiving unwanted sexual text messages, the former employee alleged that Crowder habitually exposed himself to other male staffers, a claim backed up by 2 other sources. In regards to exposing himself in general, to my knowledge, he only exposed himself to male staffers. I don't know why I'm relieved by that, but I am relieved by that. It happened all the time. Maybe that's a little bit of internalized misogyny. Who knows? But I guess it's just because I feel like women get enough. They get enough workplace harassment without Steven Crowder also doing it. I'm glad the fellas are getting some of that vileness. It usually happened when he was in a really good sort of manic mood, says one staffer. So while we were all disgusted by it, and it was never welcome, Jesus, it was preferable to him being in a bad mood, oh my God, and how he treated people in that state, the former staffer said. Ew. That's what? Hey, anybody who works there, why? You will not be famous. You truly won't. You're not going to be. Louder with Crowder is not a jumping off point for a career. It's something you put on your resume when you're trying to get hired at another right-wing lunatics show, so you can be harassed by them over their unresolved sexual curiosity. Steven never explained it. We never talked about it. It would just happen, and everyone would either throw out a fake, uncomfortable laugh or show clear disgust, which Steven interpreted as his reward for what he did. He continued. The more disgusted everyone seemed, the more pleasure he seemed to get from it. It's like he couldn't understand that we weren't in on his joke. Yeah, if this happened in a New York subway, he'd be arrested, for the record. In response to a request for a comment, Louder with Crowder CEO Gerald Morgan Jr. told Mediaite, while Louder with Crowder does not provide details on personal private medical matters, or personal issues, it is important to note that many of these claims are missing context, clear misrepresentations, or outright falsehoods. You know what? That's fair enough. Because the other day, I was in the WYCD headquarters talking to my staff of thousands, and Yeah, I whipped out the old schwanz, and I was like, "Hey, ladies, fellas, what are you thinking here? What do you think of this mole? Is that the same shape as it was last week when I did this and waggled it around for a while? I can't be the only one who's familiar with this mole, and I want to know if it's misshapen or if it's changing shape. It's one of those things where I see it too often, and I'm not sure. What do you think, my staff, of the contours of my genitals? And so I shouldn't be down on Crowder because yeah, he's just doing that. That's the context. Another source close to Crowder also said they witnessed him expose himself to male staff in the office, but chalked it up to childish behavior. That's interesting. Another source close to Crowder, former staffer as well. I don't know how else you're close to Crowder. It's not his wife. She ain't close to him anymore. I have personally witnessed that one on. No, I have personally witnessed that on one occasion. I have personally witnessed that on one occasion. They said. My personal theory is that he is a man-child and just thinks it's funny, like boys in middle school playing pranks on each other in the locker room. That to me seems to be his mentality. Could it be a power move? Possibly, they said. Very vague about the gender there. He does virtually nothing that a grown man should do for himself. Oh God, maybe it was his wife. Wash his own laundry, prepare his own food, buy his own groceries. Jesus Christ. Most of the time, someone else does all that for him. So he's like a man-child that needs to be taken care of, and his humor reflects that type of childish behavior. Good Christ. How does anybody listen to what this guy has to say about anything? It makes no sense. Another former employee said incidents of genital exposure in the workplace were so routine that they became almost unremarkable. The guys just talked about it amongst themselves, and I don't want to say it became normal, but it became less of a big deal. All right. All right. Oh, okay. The power dynamics at play, regardless is another staff, or of how friendly you are with the staff. There are power dynamics at play, regardless of how friendly you are with the staff, and also just don't send your penis in a message. So gross. Yeah. A different ex-staffer said Crowder would often make uncomfortable comments during a men's-only Bible study he held in 2021. What? The staffer said Crowder frequently remarked that men used to be more physically intimate with each other. Okay, well, I see what they're talking about. And then would reference a passage from the Bible where Abraham's servant put his hand on Abraham's inner thigh to be closer to Abraham's descendants. ... His balls. Stephen Crowder. And you get it. You get it. On and on this goes. It's that sort of stuff. Stephen Crowder. Come here for a second. Let's talk. Mister, just go have some gay sex. I know. You've seen a lot of conservative nut jobs end their careers by getting caught in airport bathrooms or whatever. But you can learn from their mistakes, and purchase the services of somebody who is of age. A proper professional. Nothing wrong with it. Plenty of them out there. And get it out of your system. Now, if you're afraid that it'll turn out that you enjoy the gay sex so very much, guess what? You can still have a far right lunatic audience and enjoy gay sex. I give you Dave Rubin. He enjoys sex with gentlemen, and in fact is married to a man, and he's got an audience, and he kept his audience despite the fact that everybody knew he was gay. Who's that Milo Yiannopoulos fella? He's famously he's femme, you know? He's what's the word? Camp a little bit. And he's got a audience of far right lunatics. You could still do the thing you do and take a whack at a fella. But you gotta stop. And if you're uncomfortable outing yourself, that's fine. And if you're just curious, here's what I really want to stress to you, Steven Crowder. If you're just curious, want to know what it feels like, go do it. Go quietly do it. Fine. I won't even jump on you for it. But here's the thing. You can't keep ordering people as part of your job, as part of their job. You can't order people to help you deal with your unresolved sexual feelings because that is not what they signed up for. Your unresolved sexual feelings need to be dealt with in your own time. And if you're fans of Steven Crowder, you're dumb. My God. We live in weird times, folks. Let's see what the Wicked community has to say.